What if one of the most powerful tech figures of our era appeared in a sex trafficking case file, not as an accused criminal, not as a defendant, but as someone whose own words don't fully align with the public story he told later? That's the exact scenario setting headlines ablaze. Newly released Jeffrey Epstein documents include hundreds of references to Elon Musk, and honestly, some of them raise uncomfortable questions about tone, curiosity, and engagement. These aren't anonymous leaks or rumor-filled blogs. These are government records, emails, travel discussions, and correspondence released by the US Department of Justice, now being dissected in real time. Stripped of outrage and clickbait, what emerges isn't a story of crime. It's a story of contradictions, curiosity, and the way private communication can be interpreted in a climate obsessed with scandal. To understand why Musk is trending, it's crucial to know what the documents actually show. In early 2026, the Justice Department made millions of pages from the Epstein investigation public. The files include emails, calendars, contact lists, travel discussions, and internal correspondence. They are not indictments. They do not accuse everyone named of wrongdoing. What they do reveal is the vast social and professional web Epstein maintained over decades. Politicians, business leaders, royalty, academics, and tech executives all appear, sometimes repeatedly, sometimes only briefly. Musk is one of the names mentioned multiple times, enough to ignite the internet, but the real question isn't why his name appears, it's what those appearances actually suggest. The documents show that Musk and Epstein exchanged emails primarily in 2012 and 2013. Some of these messages discuss casual social meetups, professional connections, and references to travel in the Caribbean. Epstein's infamous private island, a Little St. James, is mentioned in these contexts, but there is no evidence Musk ever visited. Flight logs, photographs, visitor records, and independent confirmations are all absent. Musk has consistently and publicly denied ever setting foot on the island, flying on Epstein's private plane, or attending any of Epstein's events. On these points, the public record and the documents align. So why did the story explode? Because some of the emails do not match the simplified narrative Musk previously shared. He had stated publicly that Epstein invited him to the island and that he refused, implying clear distance, disinterest, and caution. But the newly unsealed correspondence paints a slightly more curious picture. In one email, Musk asks Epstein what day or night would be the wildest party on the island. In another, he mentions being in the Caribbean and inquires whether it's a good time to visit. Again, there is no proof he ever followed through, but in a culture obsessed with receipts, that subtle gap between curiosity and action becomes a headline-generating detail. The apparent discrepancy between Musk's public distancing and his private tone is what ignited outrage. So, it's really important to emphasize this point. These emails do not prove wrongdoing. They do not place Musk at the scene of any crime. They do not suggest participation in Epstein's trafficking operation. What they do highlight is, honestly, a discrepancy between public messaging and private communication, a nuance that, in the court of public opinion, is often interpreted as evidence of intention, even when it's really not. When the story started trending, Musk responded publicly, forcefully, and, well, pretty clearly. He reiterated that he never visited the island, never flew on Epstein's plane, and never attended Epstein-hosted events. He emphasized his support for the full release of Epstein-related files, framing transparency as the path to truth. On social media, he warned that smear campaigns were inevitable despite his innocence. Musk did not deny the emails exist, they do, but he reframed their significance as exploratory and preliminary conversations that, honestly, never became action. Musk is not the only high-profile figure mentioned in the Epstein files. Politicians, CEOs, academics, and royalty appear across decades. Some individuals met Epstein socially or professionally before his criminal activities were widely exposed. Others appear tangentially, in contact lists or brief correspondence. Bill Gates, for example, appears and has denied wrongdoing, explaining that some depictions of his interactions were misleading. Across the board, the pattern is proximity, not criminality. And proximity alone, especially when paired with power, is enough to spark suspicion, even when no evidence exists. The key distinction cannot be overstated. Being named in the Epstein files does not equate to criminal conduct. The documents contain casual emails, unverified tips, and incomplete or redacted entries. They show association, not conviction. In legal terms, that distinction is vital. In public discourse, nuance is often lost, fueling outrage based on assumptions rather than facts. Why did the story blow up so dramatically? A perfect storm of factors collided. Musk is among the most visible figures on the planet, with a global following and a history of outspoken commentary on social media. The emails created a narrative conflict that was easy to frame and impossible for headlines to ignore. Culturally, there is growing frustration with how often powerful people are adjacent to scandal, yet face no consequences. That environment turns contradictions into viral content and ambiguity into outrage. Critics accuse Musk of dishonesty, while supporters emphasize the lack of evidence connecting him to any crime. Commentators analyze the situation as part of a broader conversation about elite accountability. Yet what is often overlooked in this frenzy is what the emails do not show. They do not place Musk on Little St. James. They do not indicate involvement in trafficking or abuse. They do not show investigations, charges, or criminal proceedings. They are records of communication, not of action. That distinction is crucial, both legally and ethically. Beyond Musk, this episode sheds light on a recurring theme throughout the Epstein case. Proximity to power often breeds suspicion, regardless of guilt. The sheer volume of documents creates a mosaic that the public is asked to interpret without a courtroom, sworn testimony, or cross-examination. In that vacuum, narratives solidify faster than facts, and rumor often overrides reason. The case also illustrates how digital culture amplifies every nuance. A casual remark, a polite inquiry, or a curious question can be spun into a viral controversy. The court of social media thrives on partial information, sensational framing, and a near-instantaneous feedback loop. Musk's emails, intended perhaps as professional curiosity or exploratory engagement, have been dissected tweet by tweet, Instagram story by Instagram story, turning private conversation into public spectacle. Even small inconsistencies, no matter how minor, become trending narratives overnight. This moment resonates because, honestly, it is not really about Elon Musk. It is about society's struggle to distinguish between association and guilt, communication and complicity. It is about trust, transparency, and, the fragility of public credibility when private records contradict public statements. It demonstrates how Epstein's network continues to expose uncomfortable truths. Powerful individuals can exist near wrongdoing without ever facing legal consequences, yet public perception often treats proximity as a verdict. Experts are still combing the files, mapping emails to verified timelines and past statements. Legal analysts are debating whether the documents carry relevance beyond public discourse. Journalists are tracing patterns of interactions to, contextualize the meaning behind each reference. Meanwhile, the public grapples with the central question haunting the Epstein case from the beginning. What does accountability look like when evidence is fragmented and power is concentrated? The episode also underscores the challenges of historical interpretation. Many of these communications occurred over a decade ago, when the public's understanding of Epstein, his network, and his crimes was, frankly, incomplete. Private correspondence can be misinterpreted through the lens of contemporary knowledge. What seemed innocuous at the time is now scrutinized with the weight of hindsight. That tension between context then and perception now fuels a large part of the public's reaction. Until verified evidence surfaces, nothing in the files legally implicates Elon Musk and Epstein's crimes or activities on Little St. James. That boundary is not just a technicality, it is the line between trending controversy and criminal justice. When that line is blurred, fairness erodes, and public perception becomes its own form of trial. What the situation ultimately illustrates is broader than one individual. It shows how proximity to scandal can endanger reputation, even without wrongdoing. It really underscores the challenges of navigating public life as a figure of influence in an era of hyper-transparency and relentless scrutiny. And it demonstrates that contradictions, no matter how subtle, can be magnified into narratives that dominate news cycles. If this breakdown helped you separate facts from speculation, hit like. It helps keep context alive in a landscape driven by outrage. Subscribe and turn on notifications for future deep dives into stories where details matter more than headlines. Share this video because clarity matters more than clicks. Stay informed, stay critical. And remember, a name in a document is not a verdict, it's the beginning of a conversation about transparency, accountability, and the way private actions are interpreted in the public eye.